Final Fantasy XIV's 5.0 Shadowbringers expansion made a lot of changes to the game's 17 jobs. The Paladin received some minor reworks, new skills, and now, at level 80, it feels like a divine monster. But I don't think it's as powerful as people say, and that's what we're going to talk about today in my level 80 Paladin impressions. Let's get started. First thing to talk about, as always, is the combat loop for the Paladin, and just like with the other tanks, it's simple, but it's enjoyable, and it's very unique for the Paladin. They have a magic damage rotation and a physical damage rotation. The magic side of things is connected to an ability called FFXIV. It deals unaspected damage with a potency of 550, and if it's activated while your MP is above 80%, your healing magic potency and offensive magic potency is increased by 50%. All of your spells also have their casting times reduced to 0. This effect lasts for 12 seconds. During that time, you can use the spells Holy Spirit or Holy Circle for single target and area damage respectively. And as a finishing move, you have Confiteor. I believe I'm saying that correctly, but it deals unaspected damage with a potency of 800 to the target and all nearby enemies. And on activation, Confiteor removes the effect of FFXIV. For the physical damage rotation, we have a standard 1-2-3 combo with 2 combo enders. Goring Blade applies the damage over time effect, and Royal Authority is a high damage ability that grants you stacks of a buff called Sword Oath. You get 3 stacks when you use Royal Authority, and those stacks can be spent on the weapon skill Atonement. Atonement deals 550 potency and restores MP. Something that I don't so much enjoy about Atonement is that it does interrupt combos, so it makes its usage feel a bit more static. In general, you're going to want to use all 3 stacks of Sword Oath on Atonement as soon as you get it. Additionally, Sword Oath has a limited duration. You can't just hold on to those stacks indefinitely, and that does feel a little bit annoying. But I suppose there's a reason for it, but I can also see the developers changing that because it does feel arbitrary. Now, what's interesting about the Paladin and why I feel that it's not this unstoppable, indomitable god that needs to be nerfed is the fact that the offense and defense of the Paladin is directly connected, and the more you focus on one, the more the other suffers, and the suffering is very, very big. The healing magic spell Clemency is the reason I will always consider the Paladin the most defensively minded tank. This is a spell that has a 1.5 second casting time and costs 2000 MP, and it has a cure potency of 1200, which is the same as Equilibrium for the warrior, and the same as the total potency of Aurora on the Gunbreaker. The difference between Clemency and the other healing skills that the tanks have available is that you can cast Clemency 5 times in a row. That is more healing than you will ever need, but sometimes you need it, and if you do, you can do it. You can also stack Clemency on top of FFXIV to increase its potency by 50%, making it the definitive strongest tank heal in the game. But you have to remember, every time you cast Clemency, especially while you're under the effect of FFXIV, you're losing out on damage. And the amount of damage you lose out on is nothing to turn your nose up at. So, the fact that Clemency is a spammable heal with a very high potency is balanced out by the fact that every time you use it, you're losing out on damage. And if we contrast this with the warrior's healing ability Equilibrium, then we'll start to see that things feel pretty fair. I'll put it to you this way. If you want the Paladin to do fantastic damage, then you can't use Clemency a lot. But if you want to have great sustain, you have to cast Clemency a lot, but you also aren't going to do amazing damage. So there's always going to be a push and pull with this job, and that is the balancing agent on it. You know, you look at a parse and you see, oh my gosh, Paladins, they're doing more damage than warriors and Dark Knights. The world is ending, the sky is falling, we need to nerf it. But those Paladins that are topping the charts, they're not casting as much Clemency. They're not having that insane healing factor. And that healing factor isn't always necessary in trials and raid environments, but in the places where it is necessary, if you're not casting it, then you may as well just play a different tank. I'll put it to you another way. Whenever I'm main tanking as the warrior, if there is a tank buster coming at my face, unless I'm drunk, I will press the equilibrium button on my hotbar and heal back a large portion of the damage that I took from the tank buster. You can do this on the Paladin as well with Clemency, but if you're in the middle of a combo, that combo will get interrupted. Even if you're not in the middle of a combo, you're spending a global cooldown on a defensive action where the warrior, they pop Equilibrium and they're still chopping away with their axe, not breaking a sweat. So, there's pros and cons is what I'm trying to say, and my brain is going to explode if I talk about it anymore. The supporting side to the Paladin is a lot of fun as well, but it functions a bit differently from the support-oriented abilities on the other tanks. It's a little bit less reactive and more based around preparing for danger as opposed to seeing the danger and responding to it with an instant ability. The best example of this is Divine Veil. When you activate Divine Veil, it puts a buff on yourself, and the next time you receive healing, a barrier is spread to all of your teammates that totals 10% of your maximum HP, and the barrier lasts for 30 seconds. This is in direct contrast with the other tanks' raid-wide abilities, where they just press a button and the mitigation is applied. The Paladin has to do a little bit of extra work, or have a healer do the work for them. Overall, the Paladin has been a lot of fun for me to play, and I absolutely love casting Clemency, and many people will say that I cast it too much, and I would tend to agree with them because I love the spell a little bit too much. But that's kind of the point, though. It's very powerful, and it's very fun to be self-sufficient, and that is part of the design of the Paladin. It's meant to be able to keep itself alive significantly better than the other tanks. I have the most fun playing Paladin when I'm playing with my buddy Jay because he is a healer and he knows how much I love Clemency. He plays his healer a little bit more aggressively than he can when I'm playing other tanks because he knows I'm going to constantly be looking for moments to heal myself, so he doesn't have to. On the flip side, though, if I'm playing with a group of randoms, I'm spamming Clemency on myself and they are healing me at the exact same time, and I'm wasting a lot of damage output that I could be doing. And that's something I really need to find a better balance at when I'm playing the Paladin, but that is also a very fun aspect to it that I have to actively try to balance out how much offense I'm using and how much defense I'm using. So overall, I'm very happy with the job. I'm going to continue to play it and learn all the different nuances of it, figure out the perfect time to use my healing spells, and when I can just go ham and chop my enemies to bits. And there we go, that's going to do it for my impressions for the Paladin. I like it a lot, I don't think it's overpowered, and if it ever gets nerfed, I will be very upset. If anyone out there is curious about my thoughts about the state of balance between the four tanks, let me know and I can whip something up. It'll be similar to my impression style videos. But besides that, I am currently in the process of learning more about the Paladin so that I can make an overview for you guys that will come later this week. Before we wrap things up completely, I want to give a special shout out to my patrons. We've got Avi, we've got Joseph, the Mac Man, Punaka, Alduno, and of course Tobias. But we have a new member joining the Patreon ranks, Olivia Hall. Thank you so much for your patronage. It is greatly appreciated. And everyone else, seriously, you guys are awesome for providing extra support. It is insanely helpful. So thank you very much for your patronage. With all of that said, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support the channel more than you already do just by watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting, you can head over to patreon.com/iBluairJgR to become a patron. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.